Hello and welcome to the Home Edify podcast. My name is Kristin, Malphrus. Edify means to teach or instruct so as to improve the mind and character. And here on this podcast, we talk about what it takes to edify our kids to raise resilient, courageous, lifelong learners. This week on the podcast, I am talking with Sam Moulding. Sam Moulding is a fifth generation Montana cowgirl, and she is passionate about homeschooling kids and focusing and raising up the next generation to serve the Lord, to be gritty. One of her key quotes is stay gritty. Stay gritty is a mindset of perseverance, passion, and power. It's about refusing to quit despite all odds, digging deep, and deciding to keep going, fueled by faith. Sam is incredible. She is not a mom yet, but she is helping raise her little sister. She's a barrel horse trainer. She's a rodeo coach. She's a businesswoman. She's a realtor. More importantly, though, she's a follower of Christ. Her mindset on grit and her outlook on who Christ is and on life truly set her apart. Her personal brand, Stay Gritty, inspires and encourages people from all over the world to persevere through whatever challenges they face in life. So, in this episode, the second episode of season 2, I talked with Sam. It was an interesting conversation, especially to hear from someone who doesn't have children of their own, but is so passionate about homeschooling their kids and raising up their kids to follow and serve Christ. I was so blessed to have this conversation with her. Now, if you're new to Home Edify, here's my biggest encouragement. Sit down, get you a cup of coffee, and pretend this is a conversation that's happening right at your kitchen table with one of your closest friends, because that is the setting that I want you to feel as we're having this conversation, that you're a part of it, that these are questions that you may or may not have, and together we're diving in and seeking to edify our home, our kids, the next generation. I'm just so excited to share it with you. So let's get to it. So Sam, tell us your story and how did Stay Gritty, how did that come to be?
Yeah, so I am a fifth generation Montana cowgirl. I love Jesus, and Stay Gritty really just came naturally from the way I was raised to be a strong, gritty woman that was very capable. I didn't necessarily set out to have it become what it is, but I'm so grateful and humbled for the opportunity to help people in any way that I can. And I just truly love people, and I love connecting with people. And that's what matters to me, is the real connections that I've built through Stay Gritty that are real human beings on the other side of the screen. And I think it's easy to forget in the internet that these are just real people. And so we're all built different. We all have different opportunities and different, life scenarios, but to truly connect with people and share what I have learned, if that can help someone else, I think that's the point.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you are you're a barrel racer, is that right?
Yes, I'm a barrel racer. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that is awesome.
It is. It's awesome. I love it. I've been a barrel racer since before I could walk. Was born to be a barrel racer. It's just definitely something that God put in my heart, and I have chased that passion through all of my life, no matter what.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you also work with youth, is that right?
Yes.
And I noticed on your Instagram, you are heavily an advocate for homeschooling. How did that even come into your perspective? Because you don't have kids, but you are helping raise your sister. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us how that happened.
Yeah. So, it's funny. I think a few things. I think caring about these situations before you're married and before you have kids, and educating ourselves on what we believe and what we might want to do with our kids is super important. I think, the way I was raised, again, heavily influenced my upbringing and my view on education in general. My mom values education very, very much, but that's not confined to what society may deem as a quote unquote education. There's no limit. And my mom has just seriously raised me to never doubt what I was capable of, and never doubt that I could be extremely educated, and that the possibilities are seriously limitless. So I was just raised to be so fearless in stepping out and being bold in my beliefs, in my faith, in my career. And so I think people tend to steer away from home education because of a lot of fear around it. And I think, I can't think of a reason not to homeschool, because of the time you get with your children, like just the time alone that you get back, and that influence being outside is so, I don't know how to put it. It's just so heavy, and it's not always good, and it's not always wholesome. And to send kids into environments that are going to shape them and have influence over them is not something that I agree with, and I think home education is so beautiful, so different, so specific to each kid and each set of circumstances. There's no one way to do it. And for me, education is really like horse training. I mean, because I train horses, like that's in my soul, and that's teaching. And so I can't train two horses the same way. Like if I come at a horse with the exact same approach from one horse to another, I'm letting one of them down. And so to think that there's a one size fits all education program is just insane. It doesn't work. And so, yeah, I'm definitely a big advocate of homeschool, and I just think it's remarkable. And I think that there's no one way to do it.
Yeah, and it is so different per child, because my one kid will be fully heads down focused, and the other one is just way more hands-on, has to be doing something completely different. Totally get that. But now your sister, is she she's homeschooled, right? Has she been homeschooled the whole way through?
Yeah, pretty much. She has gone to a small private Christian school early on, and that was awesome for her. That was a great experience. She made great connections and had fun. But ultimately, a lot of kids in the rodeo atmosphere do end up homeschooling because we're gone so much and we travel so much that it's difficult to be, in a standard classroom.
Yeah. Yeah. And I could totally see that. I see a ton of people like with gymnastics, travel ball, whatever it is, they end up focusing on their passion, truly. Mm-hmm. And then that leads them to, because like right now, you're a horse trainer, right? And I wonder what would have happened. Well, and what is your educational background? What did you do for high school?
So I actually love this question. For high school, I went to public school. I graduated from a very small school. It was a very small Montana high school, and I went to school 4 days a week. Like we had a 4-day school week, and I probably on average went 2 days a week. I skipped school constantly. Steadily, like probably more than anyone else I've ever known. And so that was never because I didn't value education, but I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always knew I wanted to be self-employed. I've been driven and had that in me for so long. And I just didn't want to be in a public school setting wasting my time when I can be getting that work done in a way shorter amount of time and then investing and honing my skills. So it was never from a place of like disrespect or, a rude attitude towards education. It was honestly the opposite. Like I wanted more. And so I didn't ever want to be confined, and I was not interested in what everyone else was doing. I didn't play sports. There was no reason for me to be there, honestly. Like,
yeah. No, I totally get that, because I interviewed Ethan Hardy. He's from Canada. He's a blacksmith, and the biggest thing, his parents let him drop out at 16 because he was an entrepreneur at that point, and he didn't see a point. And he brought up the point of just stewardship, which is a biblical principle, and it was sending your kids to school where they're not actually stewarding their time well. Like there's a lot of wasted time there for the sake of a group setting. What you're talking about just confirms that aspect of it. But with rodeo, with all of that, you're big on character, you're big on grittiness, obviously stay gritty. But how do you think homeschooling, and how can homeschool parents build their kids up to have those sorts of characteristics, to focus on character as the main focus? You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. So I would say for me, the biggest thing is our kids do what we do, not what we say. So if you live it out and you practice what you preach, your kids are going to too, and they're going to see that. Like kids are watching us. And that's not just in a parenting situation. That's in the kids I coach. That's in the people that I mentor. I have to walk the walk. I can't just talk the talk. And so for me, like character and integrity literally mean everything. And I truly believe like if you have integrity, nothing else matters. And if you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. So I think that means taking accountability also, right? Like we're not perfect. We're all human. We screw up. Thankfully, we serve a God that is so loving and redemptive and like gives us chance after chance after chance to just come back to him and come back to the cross and to grow and to get stronger and better and to develop our character, right? Like that is what God is truly interested in. I mean, that is what walking with Christ looks like, is developing your character. You know, God doesn't care about circumstances or a specific set of rules or like biblically even, right? Like he's not confined to the way we understand things and process things. And so to just truly have that surrender of like God is forming me and developing me into the person that I need to be. And that's a person that is more like Christ.
Oh yeah, for sure. And what's your testimony? Because I know you share a little bit about that on your Instagram, but how did you end up meeting Jesus?
So I was actually saved at a very young age, like probably 8 or so. You know, I clearly remember accepting Jesus as my savior, but I just truly didn't have that identity rooted in Christ. I let the world and success kind of get a hold of me for a few years there in my teenage years that were kind of rough and definitely like made choices that I pray and hope that the girls that I do teach don't have to make, you know, and that's honestly like probably my biggest passion and like what I feel like God has put on me is that hopefully these young girls can learn from my mistakes and learn from, you know, from me that God does love you and see you and that your value is not in anything other than the fact that Christ chose you and died for you. And so when I was 19, I was college rodeoing in Texas and ended up, you know, going to an amazing church where I got baptized and really turned my life over to Christ and was just set free from so much shame and guilt. And I just constantly felt like I had to clean myself up before I could come to Jesus. And I could just lay it down for truly like for the first time in my life and be like, okay, God, like I'm going to accept the love of Jesus. It's one thing to know about the love of Jesus, but it's a completely different thing to truly accept it. So it hasn't been perfect by any stretch, and I've, you know, done lots of dumb things, but I have been able to constantly run back to God and have God be the first place that I turn now and not like the last thing after I've exhausted all other avenues.
Right, yeah. Well, and dude, none of us are perfect, like, right? Like that's the sanctification process. It's daily 100%. Running back to him. Dude, that's awesome. Praise the Lord. So what does your daily rhythm look like? So for everybody listening, Sam is like mentor to her sister. She has an incredible Instagram account where she preaches the gospel and shares encouragement. And part of that is her showing kind of the really beautiful parts of having time with her sister and being able to be a part of her education experience. But what does it look like being the mentor and an educator for your sister? What does your daily rhythm look like? And do you have any encouragement for any siblings out there that may be taking on a little bit of the responsibility of helping educate and shape and form the next generation as well?
Yeah, so I, you know, can't think of a higher calling and a more important job that God has put on my life than being there for my sister. She's such a special girl, and I just adore her. And for me personally, like truly, I believe that before God, like this is where God has me and where God wants me. And so I think truly like praying about that and coming to that place where like, I know that it's not normal. I know that this is not what everyone does, but I know that before God, like this is where God has me and she needs me. And it doesn't matter if the world understands that. It doesn't matter who gets it. Like nothing else matters other than the fact that like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And, you know, as siblings, I think it's so cool. Again, everybody's family unit and structure is so much different. But I will say I tend to think that we were meant for community. We were meant, like, we're so disconnected as a society. Like we were supposed to be with our family, and that family is not blood to me. Like truly, you can build this. And I think that's like the encouraging thing is like, if you come from a broken family, like if it's not perfect, like my family is full of hardship and mistakes and generational heartache, really like brokenness and divorces and, you know, things that are not how God wants it. But God is still in that. God is still so beautiful in orchestrating the absolute masterpiece that he has for us. And so I think honestly, like just truly following the Lord with all your heart, even when it's scary, especially when it's scary, like especially when it's not what the world or society thinks is normal or what you should be doing. And like, just, I don't know, I can't imagine being anywhere else or doing anything else than being a part of her life in the capacity that I am. And I'm so thankful to my mom that she has allowed me that opportunity and that she, you know, believes in me and respects me enough to truly be on my team and to be that we are a united front. And it takes a village, like truly to do what we do and to do what I do. It's not a me show. I mean, my team and my people are amazing, you know, and my mom is the cornerstone of that. And so, you know, for my mom and I to raise my sister was truly just apart was going to be harder than together. And if we could help each other, we could also provide my sister education and opportunities that we couldn't have separately and different strengths. And so I think just truly being humbled and grateful for where God does put you. It's easy to get distracted and get focused on the things that just don't matter.
Yeah. So what does your daily rhythm look like with your sister?
Yeah. The daily rhythm is crazy. I mean, we are definitely horse obsessed. It's horses, horses, horses. It's feral horses.
Oh yeah, so your day to day is completely different then every single day, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I
mean, every single day there is something different, something new. Horses are out, horses are hurt. Different horses need doctored. You know, I mean, so there's just different events that we're going to. So, but I will say, like, you know, my sister gets up in the morning. She does her devotional. She does her, you know, schoolwork in that beginning hours of the day. And then everything else kind of falls into place. She starts going through her chores, splitting firewood, packing firewood, taking care of her chickens, making sure all of her animals are...
What is she?
She's 10.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah. So just kind of making sure that like her personal responsibilities are tended to. She's very independent. She's a super hard worker, and that is truly so important to my family, was to just always be the hardest worker in the room and to not, you know, to dig deep when it gets hard. Like there's going to be days when you don't want to do something and you have to do it anyway. You know, that's part of life.
And that probably means a whole lot more when you have animals depending on you. Like you see, okay, I didn't water them today. I didn't feed them today. I'm sure agriculture in general has got to play a heavy role in just making sure, like, you got to grit down and do it. Because if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. I'm guessing that's how it's.
Yeah.
Is that what it's like?
Yeah. Farm kids, ranch kids, you know, they truly are to some extent built different because there's just a responsibility to these animals that is unwavering. There's no days off, so to speak. Like we say, like even in barrel racing and pursuing rodeo, you're dealing with a living, breathing animal that depends on you. You know, and so there is a level of accountability that we have to them to take absolutely remarkable care of our athletes and the animals and honestly, like stewardship of what God has given you, taking care of it to the best of your ability is absolutely important.
Oh, for sure. And so I guess, does daily life look like she's coming with you? Like, do you, like, because you are super busy, I would assume. You see, like, you're a realtor, you are a rodeo coach, and then a horse trainer. You have your own brand, you sell your own merch. So with all of that combined, is she just coming with you for all of these things?
She's coming along for the ride.
That's awesome. She's
part of every area of it. I mean, my sister boxes up hats. Like, there's like, if there's a job that can be done that she's capable of doing, she's doing it, you know. So I can't stress enough how having the right people around you and the right team makes it all possible. My group of humans in my life are the absolute best. And it is definitely not all me. I could not do it all alone. There's no possible way that I could do it alone, and I don't have to. And I think that's where people go wrong in so many areas of life, is not getting around the right people. You can get people on the bus that are truly like-minded and passionate about what you're passionate about. You can build an unstoppable team.
Yeah.
But nobody can do it alone, truly. And every area of success in my life requires the absolute best people in my life.
How did you build that village? Like, well,
Yeah.
how did God shape it? How did that happen?
Yeah, I think God is a huge part of it, and I think focusing on Him and relying heavily on Him. But I will say also not being afraid to walk away from not who is not for you. You have to and it hurts, right? Like it's not easy, and that's the point. None of this is supposed to be easy. We screw ourselves up in the head when we think that it shouldn't be a hard, painful, difficult process. But building that village truly comes from you're authentic. You know, you can't get the right people around you and on your team if you're not being real and genuinely true to the calling and the person that God wants you to step up and be.
Yeah.
So I think you can't be afraid to just keep stepping out and keep putting yourself out there and keep building connections and keep getting in the rooms that God has you in, and the doors that will be opened are limitless.
Yeah, dude. And that's so hard. Like it's hard, but it's necessary because you see throughout scripture, like we were never meant to be alone. And it's funny the way that you talk about what your sister does and how she comes with you and she's doing all of these things. It reminds me of how Jesus and his disciples were. He never put them in a classroom and was like, hey, learn all of this stuff. He's like, no, I'll come with me. I'll show you what to do. Like, and so I don't know. I just, that picture of that, you're doing your realtor stuff, you're doing your, the horse training, and she's just like right there beside you for all of that. So, okay, I have to ask, okay, I keep seeing this statement on your Instagram and I have to know where it came from. I'm not mean. You're just a sissy. Where did that come from? That is hilarious.
Yeah, that's my mom. That is my mom through and through. That's a Tammy quote. She's embodied that my entire life. You know, she had it on visors, oh my gosh, 25, 30 years ago.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah. Yep. And so I wanted a hat that said it because I was like, I can't wear a visor.
Right.
I can't pull that off. So I got myself a few and posted them on my Instagram, and they blew up.
Yeah,
but that's truly my mom. I mean, she is sassy and like the toughest woman I've ever known. And just like, if I can be half as strong as her someday, I will have made it. But she, you know, I don't know. My mom cannot be explained. She is the most courageous, bold person that I've ever known, and just moves in complete faith. Like if you ask mama to pray for it, you better be sure you want it to happen, because when that woman starts praying, it's gonna happen. And I truly believe that is just because of the insane faith that she has in God. And so yeah, we're sassy, we like to have a good time, but it's all meant well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I feel like out of all the people that I have met in my life, all of the horse people are just like that. So I saw that and I was like, you know, I have to ask her, where did that come from? Because I love it for one thing, but two, it's just, to a certain degree, it's really true. Like most things that really resonate have a really undertone of truth to it, and just being able to like not be a people pleaser, not being somebody who is just wrapped up, their identity is in other people, but staying true to who God has really created you to be and what he's guided you to be. This episode is sponsored by the Home Edify app. The Home Edify app was created by my husband and I as we were trying to figure out how can we store our kids' educational journeys in a digital format so that we can keep it forever. If you're like me and have toddlers, you know that a book can be destroyed in less than 10 seconds if given the opportunity to them. So I wanted something that I could put tasks in on my phone, that it would be there forever, and I could keep track of all of my kids' educational journeys as they grew. Anytime we do something educational, I type it into the app. I can plan ahead if I want to. I can check it off, and then I can get a weekly or monthly progress report sent to my email, and it tells me everything that we've done throughout the week. I can attach photos to each individual task. This has given me so much peace of mind. It has allowed me to notate things in a quick way that if I waited till the end of the day, or if I waited to the end of the week, I would not be able to put it in. And on the weeks that we get sick and our schedule gets jumped around, I can go in and I can digitally move it around. This is so easy to use. It's so easily accessible and it's always there and always available. This has been a joy for me to use. And as it continues to grow and be developed, we'll be adding new features. We saw a gap in the market. We saw that there was a need in the homeschool community to have digital records. And being the lifelong learners that we are and wanting to model that for our kids, we said, okay, we're going to try to create this ourselves. And so we did. And this is our little experiment in progress that we really, really want you to be a part of if it serves you. So go to homeedify.com and there you can download the app, or you can go to the Apple Store. It's on Google. You can download the app. So don't want to take too much of your time. Just wanted to give you that little tidbit. Let's get back to the episode. So you're like a 5th generation cowgirl. What is the story behind all of that? Because I mean, so y'all are in Montana, and your mom is also a horsewoman, right?
Yeah.
Am I using the right terminology here? Because I know
Yes,
nothing.
absolutely.
Okay, good deal. But so it sounds like she is absolutely amazing, and then you are also kind of, I guess, following in her footsteps. Is that right?
For sure. Yeah.
I gotcha. So she decided to homeschool your sister. And then from there, this is what y'all are at with it. It's just, that's awesome. That's awesome, dude. So what do you think it means for those of us that don't have horses and we don't have agriculture all around us? What does it look like teaching our own kids to have those same characteristics? Because like I really do feel like my girls, they're super responsible. If I ask them to do something, they're going to do it just because I feel like we've created in our home a culture of if mom says it, we do it. We ask why later, but we go ahead and we do it. But what do you think the balance is of just teaching them how to have those responsibilities, even when maybe even the setup isn't perfect for that? Does that make sense? Because like not all of us are like in an agriculture world where, you know, oh, you have to go feed the chickens or you have to go do all of those things. But we still want to instill character in our kids to where they really can stand up to whatever life throws at them. Any suggestions for that? I'm just curious to what your perspective is.
I would say that it really doesn't come down to necessarily even agriculture or Western or like lifestyle or horses. It really comes down to personal responsibility and like putting your kids and putting youth in situations where they're not comfortable. You know, being pressed out of our comfort zone is where growth happens. It doesn't, you know, because I know lots of people in this industry who are not maximizing their growth, right? And whose kids are not being maximized. It's not so much the industry as like being uncomfortable, whether that means you're giving a talk or, you know, I think there's areas in every single person's life where they could find opportunities for growth and find opportunities for their kids to grow. So you have to be looking for ways that are going to make someone bold and courageous and comfortable stepping out, you know, comfortable, you know, and I think truly like having that identity rooted in Christ and just knowing your worth before Jesus is where that confidence comes from. And then confidence obviously is built in the practice pen and built, you know, it's built, right? Like confidence comes in stages. It's not just like saying I'm confident. No, it takes diligence and over and over and over again, you know, showing up. So I think it could be easy to rush the process too. You know, these kids are young and face so much craziness in the world. And I would just say be patient and that God, like truly to have a heart after Jesus, God will guide them. And then I think too, like figuring out what kids are passionate about early on and figuring out how we can cultivate that and build that. Okay. So like if somebody doesn't have an opportunity to have horses right now, but that's their end goal. Like a little girl can know that even if she doesn't have those opportunities. And there's things that you can be doing and characteristics in your life that you can be building to then pursue that later in your life. So I think being short-minded is a trap.
Yeah.
Making sure that your kids know there are no limits. Like you can do it. If anyone can do it, you can do it. But it's going to be a really difficult road and it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of long days. And you have to be patient.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, there's a lot of truth in that. Holy smokes. You're obviously a lifelong learner. Like you're a realtor, horse trainer, coach. Like we went through all of those things that you do. how do you manage to do it all? And what led you into pursuing all these different facets of life that you seem to be so passionate about?
Yeah. So I think they all combine together. And that's what people kind of miss, is that they go together. They're so similar. So if I'm coaching somebody, I'm on a horse that I'm training. And so I have just taken my skills and smashed them together into things that I love. And I don't have hobbies. Like, truly, I'm obsessed with what I'm obsessed with. And like, I don't want to do anything else. I love real estate. I love horses. I love teaching people. And so I think just like not caring that I'm the weird horse girl, like genuinely.
Right.
Because like I am obsessed with this and I eat, sleep, breathe all of those things and nothing else.
Yeah.
And again, like I am not on my own. My horse program is not my own. My real estate business is not my own. Like, it takes a team, and I have, girls saddling 5 horses for me right now. And so it's nothing that I could do 100% on my own. I could do it in a different capacity, but at the level that I'm operating right now, it takes a team. And I think truly finding your people and building your people is the secret to life. If you get good people around you, you need to be good to them and take care of them and support them and build their dreams. And my mom, again, has been a great example of that. Our door is literally open to anyone. If you want to work hard and be honest and live with integrity, there's an opportunity for you. But you're going to have to look for it. And you're going to have to start at the bottom. I think being afraid to roll up your sleeves and start at the beginning is a lost art. Nobody gets to skip chapters.
Yeah. You got to be a failure before you can be a success. Like, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Yeah. And
I just keep going. I don't quit. I always find another level and dig deep to keep going. And I really do think that's Christ in me. I think God is doing some very big things in my life right now, opening some super cool doors for rooms that I hope that I can walk into and show Christ, and I think ultimately that's the point for me,
Yeah. Well, and see, me and my husband, we were having this talk the other night about just how, for one, neither one of us are doing in life what we thought at the very beginning. Like, because we went the traditional school route. He went to school. He was a business major, and then now he's a software engineer. But it's so funny because like the passions and the path that he went on, and we both went on, meshed into what we are now. And I feel like if you look at every single person, they're a mesh of all of the things they're good at. And if you're truly living a life like you really want to live, I think that typically happens. I think like you're talking about, I love training horses. I love teaching. I love like the land, being a realtor, like doing all those things. And they just naturally mesh. Like, we were not meant to follow a regimen and then somehow end up into, you know what I mean? Like, does that even make sense? But it's just so funny.
Makes total sense.
But like being somebody who glorifies God, it requires being a lifelong learner, being somebody who is pursuing that next level, like what you're talking about, So that's so good. And it's cool too. It's cool to see somebody who has figured that out, that knows that and is kind of living that out.
I haven't figured it all out by any stretch. And it's like some days I'm pulling my hair out, or it's not easy.
We all are.
And that's again, like if I was trying to operate at a capacity inside my comfort zone, I would be settling. And so I know that it's really hard and that I have taken on a lot. And that's the point, is to see, how much I can do and to see how well I can do it. And so I think, again, being a lifelong learner, like that's such a mindset that you have to have every day of your life if you want to be better.
For sure. For sure. So you have a women's Zoom call. You do a Bible study every Monday. How did that happen? And what does that look like?
Yeah, again, it's just Jesus leading me right out of my comfort zone. So we live in a pretty small town. And as I said, I was in a church that I really loved when I was in college. Well, then I went through a phase where I just was not finding a church that was home. I have found that now, but I wanted community of ladies, and I was on the road a lot, and I just think our society is so disconnected from each other, and we were meant to have real personal connections with people. People live their whole lives and don't know who lives next to them, in a house next door. And that's sad to me. And so I had like just thought about it and prayed about it so much. And I was like, okay, God, like I'm going to start a Bible study online. And I had I had no idea how to use Zoom. I had no qualifications, quote unquote. Like I just love Jesus and love people. And I dove in, and it has been absolutely remarkable to meet women from all different walks and stages of life that love Jesus, that want to also build that community and tell their stories. And, I think it's easy to get in our own heads and looking at our own lives and forget like what everyone else is going through and what other people are currently walking in. And so, yeah, it's just been such a special, special connection to get on there and read the Bible. I really didn't want it to be anything that required like every week you have to show up or have a certain book. It's literally some mornings I just get on there and I read the Bible and I pray. And that's it, because like that's what it's all about. It's not, we can overcomplicate it, we can dress it up, we can make it feel good, we can make it palatable, but it's just a heart that is seeking Jesus and that gets up and opens the Bible even when you don't want to.
For sure.
And you'd rather keep sleeping.
No doubt. Because I mean, it's early. It's like 6 a.m. West Coast time, right?
Yeah, 6 a.m. Mountain time.
Wow. Yeah. That's way early for me over here on the East Coast. I'm just like, holy smokes. But no, I think you're right too. Like, honestly, so my husband and I, at one point, we were missionaries living overseas. And that was the big thing. It's like not putting a barrier in front of anybody, just diving straight into the word and letting that be what speaks. And so I think that is super cool. That is super encouraging that you get to do that. How many women are hopping on for this Zoom call on a weekly basis?
It kind of depends, anywhere from 35 to 50.
Wow, that's cool.
It varies. Sometimes we've had more, sometimes we've had less.
Right.
How much I post about it is a reflection of sometimes how many ladies get on. Oh, yeah. Because they just don't remember. But truly, like, it's not about the number. No. Honestly, it's just like, if one person was on there, I would still do it. Like, as much for me as anyone else, it's just a place where it's 100% vulnerable. Like, participation is optional. If you don't want to join the discussion and you just want to listen, you can. And I can talk enough for all of us.
There you go.
Or like a lot of ladies will join in on the discussion, and it's a super, cool area where we can get other perspectives and hear some other testimonies and what they're walking through, prayer requests that they need. Yeah, just to connect with people, like, truly, and fellowship, even if they are across the country, and have real connections that matter.
That's awesome. And it is so missing. Like you were just talking about, like, a lot of people don't even know their neighbor. But it sounds like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of sounds like you're just diving in and saying, hey, let's do this. This is what I want. This is what I need. Let's just do it. Yeah. And that, I feel like a lot of people are afraid to do that, though. That seems to be, and I wonder how much of that is just the culture that we've created of not being a burden to anybody. And maybe that's like a reflection where people just are afraid to even put it out there. But that's one thing I don't want my kids to ever be either,
Yeah. I think fearing failure and like fearing other people's opinions and fearing like what you'll look like if nobody gets on there, I think like truly being released from the judgment or opinions of anyone else is so freeing. Like, it doesn't matter. It does not matter what anyone else thinks. Like, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way.
No,
but you can't let yourself be crippled and held back by the fear of other people, truly, like, or what anyone might say about you or what they might think about you, or if you're going to be misinterpreted and misunderstood.
Yeah.
That's part of it. And you're not going to be for everyone. And truly, like, realizing that that's not a personal thing. I think that's part of finding community is, like, some people just don't click. That doesn't mean either of them are bad people, but not everyone clicks perfectly. And so you have to find the community and the circles that you click in.
That's true. That is true. Like, yeah, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, I think, is the verbiage that I've heard that before with. And it's so true because, and it's not, you're right, it's not a knock. It's not like a personal attack. It's just God created us all so differently that, of course, some of us are not going to, that's a good word. So for any moms that are out there that are like homeschooling, that are diving into this, what is your encouragement and really anybody who's involved in another kid's like education. What is your encouragement to them? Because I was just talking with a girl last night who she helped raise her sister's kids and she didn't have any of her own. And then all of that dynamic of just being there for somebody and guiding them. Any advice for anybody out there that may be listening that may not even be the primary educator in a kid's life, but wants to help shape the next generation?
Yeah, so I think kids are our future and kids are so, so important. And investing in kids is never, ever wasted, no matter what capacity that is, whether you're the primary or not. You know, like truly, I cannot say enough just like how valuable that is, that you may be impacting that kid's life in a huge way. And so I think our society in our own heads sometimes says that it doesn't matter if we're not their parent or we're not even the primary person. And it's just not true. Like the work that you do to invest in children is so important, regardless of your quote unquote title. Like loving kids and pouring your heart and soul into them is truly never wasted. And, you know, I love it and I love children. And so like for me, like I don't have kids, but I get to, that doesn't minimize what I do. And so I think truly believing that in your heart gives you just freedom to live without regard for, oh man, what if this isn't important? What if but what if it is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I can't tell you how many people that were not my parents. I would not be who I am without them pouring into me. And it's kind of cool, like talking to you about this because I'm the baby of my family by 11 and 16 years. So I joke that my sisters, I only had sisters, that they were my second set of moms, like to me, because that's just how I grew up. So, and hearing your heart for like, okay, this is our next generation. It just seems to echo Jesus's words with let the little children come to me, like the importance that they have. It's incredible. So at the end of every episode, I always like to ask, what is one book that has shaped you entirely? Like it could be any genre, it doesn't matter what it is. What's one book that has shaped you like completely? It could be any genre, doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. I'm a bookworm. I love to read. I love books.
I do.
Yeah. So
That's
I
awesome.
would say one of the most important like books I've ever read is Goliath Must Fall by Louis Giglio. It is truly a remarkable book. I read it at a time in my life when I really needed it, and just talks about so much freedom and how sometimes we are so confused in the story of David and Goliath, and we think that we have to fight the giants. But Jesus already did fight the giant and Jesus won. And that is where our peace and our identity and our place in heaven is at forever and ever. And so it's a great book. I think everyone should read it.
And that's awesome. That's awesome. I have to ask, if you're a bookworm and stay gritty. Have you ever read Grit by Angela Duckworth?
I've not.
Oh, you should. You should. It goes into the like scientific background of grittiness and why it's important in our culture. Like I thought, like whenever I saw Stay Gritty, I was like, man, did that come from that book? But no, dude, that's awesome. You have to read it. Like it's
okay.
Super good.
Yeah,
super
I
good.
will.
But Sam, so is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we hop off? Anything that may be encouraging to a mom out there that's like, I want my kids to be gritty. I want them to have a strong faith. Any advice?
I would just say that it's easy to overthink everything and it's easy to get in our heads. But if you are living boldly and courageously, our children are watching and the people that matter in our lives are seeing us step out in faith. And to move in faith is truly the most important thing. And to just believe that above all else, like God is moving and God has not left the throne and like he is orchestrating it all perfectly. We don't need to understand it. We just have to keep going.
That is so good. Oh my goodness. Well, Sam, thank you so much. If you want to follow Sam, she is on Instagram. Is there anywhere else that you're at besides Instagram? Is there other?
Facebook, but
Facebook,
other than
okay.
that, no.
Gotcha. But her handle is Stay Gritty. And if you follow her, you're definitely going to find some encouragement there and a lot of motivation. I feel like if I see your stuff, I'm like, oh, shoot, I need to be doing, because it is so encouraging in those kinds of ways, and like the step on your toe kind of way, which I personally, I enjoy. So, but thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Home Edify podcast. All literature, book recommendations, and websites mentioned in today's show will be linked in the details below. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. And don't forget to follow along on Instagram at Home Edify Podcast to enjoy clips from our latest episodes and day-to-day encouragement. Our prayer is that you were inspired to seek after your child's heart and mind. Thanks again for listening.
So, Mom, are you done with your podcast?
Yeah, I learned so much.
Thanks for coming to the podcast. Bye.